This is our second tutorial lesson in beginner guitar using the Mel Bay modern guitar method. And in the first lesson we just looked at the pieces and parts of the guitar itself, the instrument, and we talked about tuning the guitar. 6 strings, they all have to be tuned to standard pitch. Now we want to look at the notes that you'll be learning as a beginner in the first position. Playing in the first position generally means just playing on the frets, or playing all of the strings in the 1st, 2nd, 3rd, 4th, and 5th frets. But for the most part, just in the first 3 frets. Very few notes in the first position that we'll be looking at in the beginning that go beyond the 3rd fret. So let's get started with that with a little bit of information, and we'll begin some practice together. Now look at this diagram and you can see the notes that we'll be playing in the first position. There's a photograph of the top of the guitar neck. You see the nut is right along the top. It is the plastic bar through which the strings pass. There are grooves in the nut and it passes through the nut to the tuning pegs. You see also there a drawn diagram of that same 4 frets and 6 strings of the guitar. Remember, we're just going to be learning 7 notes. Of course, there are sharps of those notes and flats of those notes and different combinations of those notes to make guitar chords, but we'll be doing nothing but playing A, B, C, D, E, F, G. When you get to G, you start over with A again. A, B, C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C, D, E, F, G. Look at the diagram, and you'll see in the upper left-hand corner there's the letter E. And then if you go down, it's F, G. Then go back up to the top again. It is A, B, C, keep going, D, E, F, G, A, B, C, D, E, F, G. So it's really quite simple. You'll notice that when the guitar strings are played open, that means with no fingering at all, they have the same name. That string has the same name as the note which it plays without fingering, or open. So the top string is the E string. It plays the note E, the low E, when it is plucked without any fingers on the guitar fret. The 5th string is called the A string, and it plays the A note when it is plucked with a guitar pick without any fingers on the fret. The 4th string is the D string and plays the D note. The 3rd string is the G string and plays the G note. The 2nd string is called the B string. It plays the B note when it is plucked by the guitar pick without any fingering on the fret. Same thing, the 1st string, the low string, is the high E, and it plays the high E when you pluck it without any fingering. So this is a picture of the notes that we'll be learning and their fingering. Remember, if you're holding down a fret, you're using a finger in the 1st fret, you'll be using the 1st finger. 2nd fret, 2nd finger, or the middle finger. When you're playing a note or holding down a string on the 3rd fret in any string, 3rd finger, 3rd fret. Keep those things in mind. This is a similar diagram of the first 4 frets of the guitar neck. The nut is scored in bold. You'll see all 6 strings, the E string, or 6th string, the 5th string A, the 4th string D, the 3rd string G, the 2nd string B, and finally the 1st string, which is the E string. You'll also see those same notes at the bottom of the page shown in their position on the musical staff. The E note looks like the very first note at the bottom that is underneath the 3rd ledger line, and then F, it is on the 3rd ledger line. G is underneath the 2nd ledger line. Then A is on the 2nd ledger line. B is underneath the 1st ledger line. C is on the 1st ledger line. And then D is at the bottom of the staff. E is on the 1st line of the staff. And then F is on the 1st space. G is on the 2nd line. A is on the 2nd space. B is on the middle or 3rd line of the musical staff. C is on the 3rd space. D is on the 4th line of the staff. E is on the top space of the musical staff. F is on the top line, or the fifth line. G is on top of the staff, and then high A is on the first ledger line that sits above the staff at the top. Let's begin learning how to read music then. You've seen the notes on the guitar and then the notes on the paper. Well, let's look at the staff. The staff is the 5 lines and 4 spaces that comprise the area that you read, upon which the notes sit. They are either always on a space, a note is on a space, or on a line. So here are the lines. The first line is at the bottom, second, third, fourth, and fifth to the top. So it moves in order sequentially from the first to the fifth, from bottom to top. The spaces are the first, second, third, and fourth spaces. So 5 lines, 4 spaces. Now each of these lines and spaces are named after letters of the alphabet. This is at the top of the page on in your Mel book instruction booklet on page 4. Remember that I said that we're dealing with 7 letters. The musical alphabet is A, B, C, D, E, F, G. And remember that a G would become before the A, and an A comes after the G. So it's like a circle of those 7 letters. A, B, C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C, D, E, F, G. Now, let's take those notes, the letters of those notes, and place them on the 5 lines of the staff and on the 5 spaces. The first line, the very bottom line, is called the E line. The second line is the G line. The middle line, the B line, is the third line. The fourth line is D, and the fifth line is F. I learned these many years ago by the sentence, using the sentence, every good boy does fine. Every starts with E, good starts with G, boy starts with the letter B, does starts with the letter D, and F starts with the word fine. So every good boy does fine. And sometimes in the beginning I just said that little phrase as I said those words, every good boy does fine, in order to locate. If I find a note on the middle line, I just go every good boy. So I know that note on the middle line is the B note for boy. Now look at the spaces. There are 4 spaces in the staff. The first space is F, the second space is A, the third space is C, and the fourth space is E. So first F, second A, third C, fourth E. F-A-C-E spells the word face. It's easy to remember. It doesn't have any particular association with the spaces, but space and face, I guess, rhyme. So there are 5 lines. Their names are E, G, B, D, F. There are 4 spaces. They are F-A-C-E, face. So when you see a note on a line or a space, it takes the name upon the position which it sits. Very easy to remember. Just put it in your brain and drill it right in. The musical staff, the 5 lines and the 4 spaces, the staff is divided into parts, are divided into measures. So it would be spoken of the first measure, the second measure, the third measure. It's a way of finding direction or location in a piece of music. Each measure is divided by a vertical line that's called a bar. At the end of each strain of music there is a double line. And you'll know that you've come to the end of a section. So this is the staff. When a number of different instruments play together, they may all play a different kind of staff, or read music in a different way, or read a different kind of music. The kind of music that the guitar plays the soprano notes on what is called the treble clef, or the G clef. You'll see this symbol that looks like a curled S turned around backwards. And its bottom part circles the G line, which is the second line in the staff. And so it's sometimes called the G clef. I've most commonly called it the treble clef. It's almost always at the top of any stacking or list of different staffs of music. So you'll be looking at the 5 lines and 4 spaces that are introduced by a treble clef. That's what guitar plays. All guitar music will be written in this clef. Alright, that concludes our second tutorial lesson. If I were you as a good student or trying to be the very best guitar student, I wouldn't consider the lesson finished when I had listened to it once. I would listen to these lessons, the first one and the second one, over and over again. I would consider them to be finished when I knew everything that the lesson taught, and I felt that I could recite it back, that I knew it by heart. So listen to these over and over again. Monotony is a part of learning anything, I suppose, but remember how much fun you're going to have playing the guitar. So you'll have these things away. You'll never have to memorize them again. You'll never have to learn them again. They'll come to you as easily as anything else that you've ever stowed away. So listen to these lessons over and over again and be prepared to have them jump to your recall when you need them. So the next lesson we'll be looking at the different kinds of notes or shapes of notes that you will see upon different lines and spaces on the musical staff. Alright, good work and continue to study.